Hey everyone, it's Teresa, and we're going to go ahead and jump right into our project for the day. And this is sponsored by Cricut, so hope you like it. Let's jump in. We are going to go ahead and make this as simple as possible and as efficient as possible when it comes to time, because time is money. So I am right here in my home spot on Cricut Design Space, and I'm just in like the projects section where you can just search for projects. So we're gonna just look up a porch cleaner because those suckers are expensive. So you can go through here and just pick up all of the images. So these are just all of the different things that are kind of available in Design Space under the images. You can pick so many things. Or you can pick like these figured out projects for you, and they have all different people, from all around the place that are making these projects. I've had a couple that I've done in the past, so I am, again, for the sake of time, because time is money, I am just going to find one. I've already taken a look at them, so give me a second just to find the one that I looked at that I said, ooh, I want to make that. And someone's already done all the work for you. They've already put it all together, and I'm going to be doing a double-sided one. So it's going to be so much fun. I'm just going to do this one right here. Of course, I'm going to put my own spin on it. So I'm going to click on it right here. It's going to show you all different kinds of options. This particular maker is Heidi. Hi, Heidi. Not that you're watching, because I can't imagine you are just happened to find my video. But anyways, we're going to make her project today because it's going to be super fun. And we're going to go ahead and just edit a copy. It's going to pull all of that right over here into Cricut Design Space in the canvas. So hers are super large, and I love it. I love it. I love it. I don't need the numbers because I'm not going to be putting a house number on it. So I'm going to delete that. And now this one is made for, I think, yeah, like a 5-foot tall porch cleaner. I am not making that one of this size, so I'm going to resize it. I'm going to show you real quick. One of my favorite things to do is to go ahead and just put together a simple shape just with the certain sizes of what I'm making. So width is going to be about 7 inches, and the height, I'm just trying to do math real quick. Math trying to do in my head is never good. Is 48 inches, I believe. Should be the 4 feet. Let me just make sure I'm not lying. Yes, 48 inches. So this is the size that I am working with. So this one's a little bit on the smaller side when you're kind of thinking about porch cleaners. You can make them as big as you want, you make them as small as you want, whatever. So I am just going to go ahead and get this guy sized up. You can resize it. I'm going to just make the spacing a little bit closer just because that is my preference. All right, I'm going to just speed through the next part. It's really just kind of getting the lettering as close as I'm going to want it. And there's definitely a trick here after you get kind of things squished all in together. Basically, you can use the aligning feature to get everything even. Right now, we're just moving things up, making sure that it is going to go kind of squished up together. And I'm clicking so many darn times because I don't have a mouse right now. I'm just working on my laptop and I don't have a mouse, so it looks all kinds of wonky. So highlight the whole thing, and then you're going to go ahead and go over to Align. I hit the right click button, don't mind me. But you're going to go into Align, and then you're going to do Center Horizontally. Then you're also going to go actually do the distribute vertically. I did the wrong one the first time. So all that's going to do is essentially give it everything even spacing, and I still need to kind of reduce the width of it. It's still a little bit too wide, so I just resized the word sweet, and then I'm going to go back and do that alignment the same way that I did a second ago. So sorry if I sped through that too quickly. Let me know if you guys want like a full like real-time project in like real time voiceover type of thing. Leave that comment down below if that's something you're interested in seeing. All right, so now to make some adjustments on the welcome side. Here it is with some greenery up on top, but I don't really like it, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. So we're going to just go ahead and highlight the whole thing like you see here. I'm going to go ahead and right click. I'm going to ungroup it, and I'm just going to go ahead and delete these, highlight them, hit the delete. or you can also hit the little garbage can. So now I've got my welcome, and see, they're all individually cut letters, so I can't use my like spacing thing. So I'm going to do the same thing here in a few minutes as I did over on the Home Sweet Home. But first, let's change out this O for a wreath. Let's just do something fun, right? So go over to Images. We're going to go ahead and do a wreath. And I found one already that I like. Remember, I have to weed this sucker, so we got to make sure that it's something I can actually sit there and weed. I like this one. I think it's super cute, but this one's a little simpler. So let's go ahead and click that one. Hit to add to canvas, and let's swap this out for the O. So I'm going to click on the O, hit the delete button, and let's go ahead and put the wreath in its place. And let's go ahead and resize it a little bit too. Let me just zoom in a little. And let's go a little bit bigger. And that's perfect. Now I'm going to go ahead and resize this the same way that I did on the last one, and then I'll be back in just a second. All right, so I've got them nicely sized up. I've gone ahead and put on my wreath instead of the O, and I went ahead and attached it just like I did before. I'm going to change the color of the material. That way I can go ahead and cut it all at one time when I do the Home Sweet Home, and make things so much easier. Now I am also going to add a couple of circles in like the middle top parts of this. This kind of helps me with getting things centered up and, you know, not getting things all kinds of wonky. It's not as hard when it's this large, but I'm going to add them on, and when I'm done with all of this, it'll be available for you guys to go and use this file if you want to, or of course you can use the one that I showed you earlier on as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get all this cut out and then weeded and all that ready to put onto my wood sign so we can make our porch leaners. All right, let's jump into getting this all ready. I'm just going to trim a couple of pieces of rags for this stain. Now this is Willow Gray, I believe, over by Vaspar, and I don't end up loving it, but that's okay. I'm going to be putting this right here on a piece of cedar. I really like those for porch leaners because they're resistant to bugs and issues outside and all of that. So they're my favorite to use. They're a little expensive, but that's my personal favorite one to use. So even though we're trying to save some money by making this ourselves, I still really love using cedar. And on the other side, I'm actually doing a weather wash stain. It's water-based, and this is an ebony, and I love this. This looks to me almost like I burnt the wood, and I'm absolutely loving it. I'm actually going to give the other one a coat of that weather wash. That's it dry, and then that is the gray with the weather wash on top, and I love the way it looked. Love it, love it. So I'm going to go ahead and put my Cricut decal. I'm going to zoom you out a little bit so you can see kind of what we're doing here. I've already got it weeded and got my transfer tape on it, and we're going to go ahead and get it all nice and set up on there. I've already kind of cut it down. I've already got it ready to go. I've figured out kind of like where the middle part is on my board, and then I'm using those little dots and lines that I kind of like to put on the top, and using a ruler underneath to help me get it lined up. This is the hardest part, at least for me, when it comes to making things yourself, especially when it's something that typically you want it to be straight. So take a little bit of extra time and just make it as best you can. But when I do get it nice and positioned, I'm going to go ahead and just smooth it all down onto the wood. If I find any spots that feel like they're not really aligned the way I want it to, I'm going to actually cut it off and then redo that one separately. It makes it pretty easy, actually. See, I've already done that here with the transfer tape lines because you've got the lines right there. And I think it's just going to make it nice and easy, and it's just as simple as can be, really and truly. So I'm going to get that nice and lined up. And once you get it where you want it, then you can go, of course, go ahead and get everything burnished down. And you're going to also, of course, take off your transfer tape so that we can go ahead and paint. I like using the removable vinyl from Cricut when I'm doing something on stained wood. Now, if I was doing it on painted wood, I would 100% use the stencil vinyl. So I keep playing around with it just till I get it kind of the right spot. I did take it and kind of like get it on my clothes to make sure that it didn't have too much stick before I started moving it around. This is going to be the other side. I've already transferred the vinyl down onto the wood, and now what I'm doing is I'm taking a sponge tip applicator to go around the edges. Only do this if you are planning to get a really heavy coat of paint. Otherwise, you're going to see all of these little sponge dabber spots, because I'm going to actually go over it after this with a chip brush and do kind of like a really messy paint job. See, I felt like this is more of my very rustic side, and the other is going to be a lot more polished side. So this is double-sided this way. If, I don't know, if you're feeling a little more rustic on one side, you use that one. If you're feeling less rustic and more polished and finished, then do that one, you know. To each his own. You do what you want to do, because that's the beauty of making your own home projects, your own DIYs, home decor and all that, is you get to make it the way you want it. So I am going in with a really light coat, and then I did several coats kind of on top of it. And the one that I used, the more polished one, on the other side, I used a foam roller brush. This was actually my first experience with using a foam roller brush, and it will eat up your paint. It will, like, it swallows it up. It's gone. You use a lot more paint, but man, oh man, is it that crisp perfection. I really love it. I'm going to be using it a lot more often for sure, because it gives it such a nice finish. And like I said, it just uses a lot more paint. So if you're all right with that and you want this really clean look, 100% use a little foam roller brush. It makes a big difference than trying to use a paintbrush. As I'm doing this, the paint is pretty dry, so I'm going to just take a dry brush just to kind of get rid of any of that little flicks of stuff. Here's the other side. I'm just going to show you real quick. I'm just going to kind of weed off all of that vinyl that I left behind to give us kind of that negative space. It is going to pull off some of the wood in some of the spaces. This side of the cedar board is the much less smooth side. The boards I buy, one side's like really rough and one side's kind of nice. So I do sand both sides, but this one is by far a lot rougher. I'm just going to go back in with my weather wash stain and restain that wood, and then I'll take the white and put it over the stain just to clean it up and everything. A little bit off is fine. In the end, at some point, I am going to probably wax this a little bit, and then I'll add on, of course, my outdoor sealer. Here's the more polished side. I think it turned out beautifully. And then here is the more rustic side. Also super fun. Absolutely love it. I hope you love it too. And don't forget to leave me a comment down below which side is your favorite, and give me a big thumbs up, and I will see you next time.